Hello everyone, if you're new here, welcome. If you're not, welcome back. Today I'm going to be talking about a very sensitive topic, and that's why I'm not all happy and excited because I don't really feel comfortable sharing the information I'm going to share with you guys today, but God put it in my heart to do so. So I'm going to do it. Also because I know that there are people who can relate to what I'm going to say. Okay, so I don't know where to start. I want to start by the fact that nobody knows this about me. The only person that knows is my uncle, one of my uncles, because I opened up about it to him, and my boyfriend. These were the only two people that know about what happened to me as a child. So yeah, and then I opened up about it maybe on the internet sometimes, but didn't really go well. But yeah, so yeah, just to say that nobody really knows this part about me, and I'm going to share it with you guys, share it with the world, because again God told me to do it. So I'm going to share a brief history of how it all started. It started around the age of 7 to 8 years, and I used to go to this girl's house to go play. Yes, it was a girl, and we would play, but then things started to get bad because then she would start touching me inappropriately, and like when we would hug or these kind of things, or when we would play, whenever she would do that, obviously I would feel uncomfortable, but at the same time I didn't let it bother me because I just saw that she was just playing with me. And considering the fact that as a child I didn't really have many friends growing up, same thing. So I kind of grew up as a people pleaser. So the moment I saw someone that was willing to play with me, obviously, like, it's almost like, no, I can't miss this chance. Even if I feel uncomfortable, I'll continue doing what I have to do. I'll continue going along with it. So yeah, we would play around. She would, like, when she would look for opportunities to touch me, or when we would hug, she would touch me, as I said. And there was a time that she made me sleep on the same bed with her, like stay on the same bed with her. Initially we were watching cartoons, and she would touch me inappropriately and tell me to touch her private parts and all these kind of things, and I went along, obviously thinking that it was just like, playing, things like that. So it got to a point that, like, for example, there are things that I kind of forgot because I put in this, while I was growing up, I put in this wall to not think about it and these kind of things, natural trauma response. So the only thing I remember, the last thing I remember about this situation was when I tried leaving to go back home one time, and then she hugged me again, trying to touch me. And the sister was like, she went and told her mom that she was touching me inappropriately, and obviously me not knowing what she was doing was wrong. Like, anytime she would do just those things, she would do them in private when no one would be watching. That already makes you understand that it was something bad. But in my head, it was like, oh, it's a little secret between me and her, all these kind of things. Didn't see anything wrong with it till the little sister went to the mom and told her what she was doing. The mom yelled at her, but I didn't think much about it. It got to the point that like we moved out, like me and my parents, my brother, we moved to a different location, and slowly as I started to grow, I started having nightmares. I did not like to be touched. I started having like sexual behaviors. This is also a result of sexual abuse victims. So like try to maybe engage with some other kids, like I don't know how to explain, but I had sexual behaviors and not good thoughts, obviously, but they like what happened to me as a child kept on tormenting my mind, kept on replaying in my mind. And yes, so I grew up not liking hugs, not liking kisses. I hated kisses. I really hated, one of the things I hated the most were hugs and kisses, not even from kids. So it got to the point that I did not only start liking guys, but I also started liking girls as I grew up, to the point that I silently identified myself as bisexual. And I didn't really see anything wrong with my actions, obviously, because I didn't know where it all started from, and I didn't know anything about sex, sexual stuff, and all these kind of things. But I just had a feeling like it was not really something that was good. At the same time, I thought it was something like to be used to play around and this kind of thing. So I was not really intimidated by those things. And I also grew up in an environment where like sexual images or these kind of things, they were very, like it was just there. So it's like the norm. It was like the norm. And then at the age of 11 years old, it was 11 to 12 years old, I met this girl again. Obviously, it's not like I was scared or I backed off from her. No. Because again, in my mind, she did nothing wrong. So I spent time with her and another girl. And yeah, we were walking, playing around. Then it was time for me to leave. And when I had to leave, she pins me against the wall. I again thought she was just playing around, being silly. But she pins me against the wall. I tried like pushing her back, jokingly. And then she hugs me. I, not liking hugs, pushed her away, tried pushing her away. But no, she used force. And then she started to kiss my neck. And I started to feel very bad. This was not again about playing. I started to feel very bad and uncomfortable. After she did that, I left shaking. And I went home. But that was the day that I really and fully started to hate hugs, but not only hugs, but also kisses. And not only that, it resulted in me not liking to be touched in general. So at first, I didn't like hugs, I didn't like kisses, I didn't like to be touched, just because it was, how do I explain? I just didn't like it. Mentally, I didn't like it. But this time, it resulted in a physical reaction, in a mental and emotional reaction. So this time, I didn't like it as a whole, because then it resulted in me also shaking. So while I was in middle school, I made more friends. I was known as the girl that didn't like hugs, that didn't like kisses. But obviously, who knew about my past? Nobody knows. I didn't even know I didn't like hugs or kisses. I just knew that it made me uncomfortable. Because even though I reacted in that way when the girl kissed my neck and all, I knew it made me feel uncomfortable. I knew it didn't make me feel good. But even as I grew and I didn't accept hugs, I didn't accept kisses, I never fully knew that that was the reason why. But now, at 19, I can fully say that was the reason why, because I am emotionally intelligent now. I have processed everything, I've let it all out, I've cried, I've really taken the time to study everything, the root cause of my behaviors. So I know it started from there and why I don't really like hugs. So as I grew more, I started to learn about sexual stuff. Like, we had sex education, but not like in a bad way, in an elementary kind of way. So they started to teach us the basics in school. So then I started to learn, like, what did that have to, like, I gained some knowledge about the sexual stuff, but then growing up, I learned more stuff even through the internet or through friends, because then I started to realize that there was something wrong even in the way some of my peers would act. Because in school, sexual behaviors are very it is in the open, they are evident. Because as much as people think that kids are very innocent, they are not really innocent, especially when they are displayed, unfortunately, to sexual stuff. Because when you're displayed to sexual stuff, it gets to the point that you're desensitized by it, like what happened to me. Or you don't even know that what you're doing is wrong, or what you're seeing is wrong. You're used to it. So as I grew up, I started to learn, and then I started to realize that what happened to me as a child was not okay. But I put in this wall, this mental wall, to block myself from the trauma, which is again a typical trauma response. You don't want to deal with the reality, it hurts. Because the moment I just really took some time to take everything in, and I was like, oh my goodness, this happened to me as a child, I already felt the pain, and I was like, no. And I put in this wall and I blocked things out. So that's why I say that there are things I can't even remember, because as a child, I put in this wall and I forced myself to forget certain things, to protect myself and to protect my emotions, to protect myself from the pain. So, straight fast forward, right? And I was in high school in this time period, and one time something happened, and the family of my childhood best friend came to my house. And they came to my house and they had to sleep at my house. And so my childhood best friend slept in my bed, and it was a single bed. I don't know how they say it in English, but it was a bed that was like this. It was not a matrimonial bed. And so we slept together. I was already very anxious. Okay. At that age, I could identify why I felt uncomfortable sleeping with her, but not fully. So I was very uncomfortable sleeping with her on the same bed. But I was like, wow, I have my best friend here. We're sleeping on the same bed and I can't even enjoy the moment. So we sleep on the same bed. Next morning, I wake up with her hand around my waist. And then I started to panic. And I immediately came out of the bed and I started to shake. I could not understand why I reacted in that way because I was like, it was so innocent. It's normal that when you're sleeping, your hands go all over the place, your legs go all over the place. So it was so innocent. I could not understand why I was reacting that way. But I knew that maybe it could have been related to what happened to me again as a child. I knew, deep down, that I felt scared that she would touch me inappropriately. Then, I don't know how I managed to calm down in the end. Moving on, something else happened. This was already when I fully took in what happened to me as a child. I fully took in the fact that my childhood was stolen away from me, my innocence was stolen away from me, and there were things I had to live with, there were things I had to overcome, there were things I had to deal with. So I identified the triggers. So now, fast forward to last year. I was with my teacher. Like, my teacher had to leave. She was done with school. She had to get her pension. So she had to leave. And she was greeting the whole class, hugging them, kissing them. So it was my turn. She hugged me. It was a brief hug. Oh, mind you, sorry. With time, as I grew up in high school, I started to accept hugs, but my hugs were very brief. If someone has hugged me, at least in those years, they can tell you that hugging me is almost like hugging a bone or hugging the air, because you don't even feel me hugging you back. Like, it's almost like I'm not even touching you. It's like you're hugging the air, because there's no emotion, there's nothing when I used to hug someone. I just did it to do it. So fast forward to last year. It was my turn. I met my teacher and she greeted the whole class. It was my turn for her to greet me. So she hugged me. The hug was starting to get a little bit long. My mom was like, she's just trying to show you her affection. I was trying to comfort myself in that kind of situation. And then the hug was starting to get too long. And I put my arms around her waist to push her away gently. But it didn't end there. She kissed my cheek. You might say, what's so wrong with what she did? Nothing. It's just that obviously she was not understanding the fact that she does not know the reason why I do not like hugs. She does not know the reason why I don't like to be touched. And she didn't even realize the fact that I was trying to push her away. So she kissed me on the cheek, which I considered to be forcefully. So when she was done, I went back to my seat and I had a panic attack. I had to rush the toilet, cry, couldn't even breathe, guys. It was terrible. It was said, oh, because of what? A hug. A hug. But you know why? I know victims of sexual abuse can relate to this. Why does it result to such a strong reaction? Because you feel helpless and you feel powerless. This is what victims of sexual abuse feel. This is why consent to us is very, 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 very important, because we have lived in moments where we have felt powerless, helpless. When I was a child and I was with that girl, I went along with what she did, thinking she was playing. But there were moments that she would give me hugs that were also forceful hugs. What did I feel? Powerless. The second time when she started hugging me forcefully, kissing my neck, what did I feel? Powerless. Helpless, because there was also another girl that was behind her, but she didn't do anything, probably not knowing what was going on or not seeing anything wrong with what she was doing. But I felt powerless. Imagine someone telling you to touch their private parts, or they touch your private parts and they encourage you to do it, and when you don't do it, you feel kind of way. What do you feel? Powerless. Now you might ask, how did this affect your relationship? When I got into a relationship with my boyfriend, it had to get to the point that I obviously had to tell him. I had to tell him what I went through as a child, all these kind of things. He did his best to comfort me, to be there for me, to be understanding and all these kind of things. Me and my boyfriend, we are in a long distance relationship, so we don't meet a lot. So he didn't even get the chance to experience like hugging me and my reaction and all these kind of things. First boyfriend, by the way. To not lie, I had one in elementary school, but it was just a child fling. We didn't do anything. It was just, we're just playing around. If I had to be fully honest. So nothing happened with the elementary school guy. Just nothing. My first real boyfriend, I had it at the age of 18. Yes, me and my boyfriend are together for a year and almost 2 months. So yeah, I didn't experience that, and it got to the point that when we would talk, I always put in the emphasis on consent. Like if you would talk about wanting to do something with me, I'd always talk about consent, like as if he's going to force me to do something. I would always tell him consent. Okay? So it got to the point that he was talking about something, and then he got a bit upset because it's like I was telling him the obvious, like, why would you tell me to ask you, like, do you really think I'm going to force you to do such a thing? Of course I'm going to ask you for consent, like all these kind of things. So like we got into a little argument, and then there was this silence, and in this silence realization just hit me, and everything went straight to what happened to me in childhood. Straight. Replay. This is why I put the emphasis on consent. Imagine having the freedom to choose what you want to do and not feeling forced to do it. Because again, when you experience so much the feeling of being powerless, helpless, What you need is consent. Can I do this? Would you be willing to do this? Consent, 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 consent. Whether you're a victim of sexual abuse, rape, or not, consent is very important. Consent is very important. So consent was very important, and yeah, and I cried on that day. I let it all out, and I told him the reason why I felt that way. I told him I realized where this was coming from. So to end it here, the result of my sexual abuse was having the desire to be not only with a guy but also with a girl. So I was attracted to both genders, and sexual behaviors, addictions, thinking that everything that was happening, all these kind of things were just normal. There was nothing wrong, just child play, childhood being stolen away from me, my innocence, at least a very big part of it being stolen away from me, nightmares, because there was a period where I had nightmares almost every night. I was so scared. Like, there were times I had to sleep with holding my brother's hands because of the constant nightmares that were also sexual, of forcing me to also do stuff to them. And yeah, and when I wouldn't do in these dreams, when I wouldn't do the things they said, they would hit me and these kind of things. Nightmares, not wanting to be physically touched. Like, there was a point that even like I really couldn't be around girls that were too touchy. Even if you were to put my hands on my knee, I'll just bounce back. Or I wouldn't want to tell you, get your hands off of my thigh, or get your hands off of my waist, because girls can be very touchy. The worst thing you can do is touch my waist or touch my thigh, or even if it's to touch my arm. I really hate those things because of what happened. So the result was me not liking to be physically touched, or even kisses, even if it's from kids. To tell you how serious this is. And did I leave anything else out? Feeling powerless, feeling hopeless, and yeah, I don't know if I missed anything out. So yeah, all these things, and these were the results. And I also want to briefly add something. When I met with my boyfriend in real life for the first time, I had difficulty with holding his hands. Sorry, for the second time, because the first time it was kind of awkward. The second time, no, like hugging. We had to count the amount of time he had to hug me. Like, it didn't have to be more than 5 seconds, or even if he were to kiss my cheek, he had to ask me for consent, or if he did it without consent, he would tell me sorry, or these kind of things. And yeah, it's a very delicate situation and subject, but yeah. And brain fog. So these were the results. You might say, why didn't I tell someone? Why didn't I tell someone or an adult about this? Because I didn't really get help. And I told my uncle, he asked some questions, but it seemed like it was out of curiosity, but it's not like, I'm sorry you went through this. Almost like curious, but surprised. The point he thought that I wasn't a virgin anymore, but that wasn't the case. Because we're talking about someone touching you inappropriately and you having to do the same to them. But my virginity was not taken. I was not naked, nothing like that. So yeah, then when I would open up about it on the internet, I would get people that were like, it's just probably kids just being kids, so they were just curious. Yeah. You might be like, how can people say such a thing? But the thing is, many people don't realize child on child sexual abuse and how severe and how serious that is, because there's not much difference between when you're sexually abused by a child and an adult, because you feel the same things. Maybe some might feel more severely, or some might have different symptoms, but we still feel the same way in the end. So even though it was a child, no adult should ever tell a child that it's not considered sexual abuse because it came from a child. No, because that thing can happen to your child as well, and it can ruin their life the same way it happened to me. Because I mean it when I say my childhood was taken away from me. I grew up thinking that what happened to me was normal. As a child, I put in this word. I didn't even think about what happened to me, but the result started to pop out little by little by little. So be very careful, and again, train up your child in the way that they should go. Teach them about these things. Teach them about consent. Teach them about places that they shouldn't be touched. Because if they are if they end up being naive like the way I was, they'll think that the way they were being touched was normal. They'll think that people are just playing around. No, they need to be able to set boundaries. They need to be able to defend themselves in situations like this. Otherwise, their life will be ruined forever. And they also need to feel comfortable enough to come to you and be like, this is what happened to me. And make sure you're also aware of the environment that you are in, because the environment can also influence the child's mind, and they can end up thinking that sexual language, sexual images, sexual behaviors, even in childs, are completely normal. So when confronted with something that is the opposite, they can't believe it, or they'll be like, what are you talking about? This kind of abuse, it often goes unnoticed because they are very ignorant and stupid adults that really think that this is not sexual abuse because it's just children being curious. So, yeah. You might ask yourself, how did you deal with this? And I'll tell you how I dealt with it and how I healed. Because you might ask yourself, how did I heal? So the healing started when I gave my life to Christ in 2019. I found my identity in Him. I pursued purity in mind, in actions, in everything. I pursued purity. And you might say, what did you do during your childhood? Well, I didn't have like sex outside of marriage. I did not do all the stuff. Also, because of my upbringing, I would die if I ever did such a thing. And after what happened to me, I couldn't even think about being in such an intimate kind of thing with someone. Wouldn't even like cross my mind, even though as a child I had there is some sexual stuff that I would do not knowing that they were wrong, but it never really got to that point. And yeah, so I gave my life to Christ. I found my identity in Him. I pursued purity, and pursuing purity, I also learned I looked at sex in a healthy way. I learned about it from the Bible as well. With a biblical, I had a biblical perspective when it came to sex and all these kind of things. I learned what it was used for, the purpose of sex, and fornication, and these kind of things. So I had a healthy view on sex. And then another thing that helped me heal was that I had, and I also have a wonderful boyfriend who constantly reminds me that I'm safe, that I'm loved, that I'm cared for. In the beginning of our relationship, he kept on telling me that all the time. Sometimes it would get exhausting, but in vulnerable situations, that kept on replaying in my mind. But he wouldn't tell me those words just because he felt those were in that way towards me, and he wanted to remind me that I'm loved and cared for and cherished, safe with him and by him. But he also wanted to remind me that I'm safe, loved, and cared for and cherished by God. So I would always replay those words in my head, and that was also what builded me up. Some people, these are very sorry, but I have to say it. I have to be very honest, brutally honest. There are stupid people out there that think that someone who was sexually abused has to heal on their own, because they need to deal with their traumas before getting into a relationship. And that, to a certain extent, is true, because there are certain things that you have to deal with before getting into a relationship, because then otherwise it can really ruin a relationship. But you also have to do your part. Let God do his part, you do your part. But there are also certain things that a partner helps you to deal with, because a partner also helps you to grow. He helps you to heal. He helps you to also love yourself more. So it's not always true that you need to be whole, that you need to heal completely till you get into a relationship, because the truth is, because nobody wants to say it, but I'll say it, having a partner can also help you heal, because there's an exchange. Maybe your partner didn't know much about sexual abuse, didn't know much about this and that, but then he learns more. He knows how to deal with these kind of situations. Maybe even in the future, you might come across someone like that, and he knows how to help them, whether it be a male or a female, because he dealt with that kind of thing with his girlfriend. So he learns more from you, and you learn more from him, and he also helps you to heal. So my boyfriend played a big part in also helping me to heal. Played a big part in also helping me to heal by constantly giving me those words of affirmations. So even till this day, I have difficulties, I have wounds, but I can proudly say that I accept hugs and I also accept kisses. Maybe I'm not fully excited, I still do not like them, but at the same time, when someone gives me a hug, the words keep repeating themselves in my head. I am loved, I am cared for, I'm safe. This person loves me, they're hugging me because they care, because they love me. I'm safe, it's okay, it's okay. So even if the hugs get more than 5 seconds, which is my limit, I repeat those words, and I can also give you a tight hug in return and not feel mushy like I used to do before, because I have these words of affirmations. So this is also what helped me heal. But another thing that also helped me heal was because I chose to not let this thing take full power of me. So I chose to step my foot down, and this was also thanks to the encouragement my boyfriend gave, because he knew that there would have been stuff we would have to deal with in the relationship and also after marriage. There were some things I didn't deal with. If there were some things I didn't try to do. So I also took that step, and again that's when I started to accept hugs. It was okay, so I had an issue with the microphone and I was charging it. Even though I charged it for like 2 minutes, but it's fine because I can't wait anymore. I need to get it over with. But yeah, so I challenged myself and I started to give more hugs. Like was open to receiving more hugs, kisses, and I would replay the same words of affirmations. You're safe, you're loved, you're cherished, this person loves you, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay. Even if it would be more than 5 minutes. So now I don't have that same reaction to hugs. So if you're a victim of sexual abuse, you can be victorious in Christ. You can win in Christ, and you can overcome the hurt in Christ, and you can heal with Him. You can do this. And remember that not everyone is the same. There are good people out there. There are good men out there that can also love and cherish you. Not every man is bad. Every man is evil. Look at what happened to me, and it was from a girl. I fear men and I fear women. But I think you know what I mean. Because you're not supposed to fear men as Christians. But yeah, so and really challenge yourself. Repeat words of affirmations. Don't read the Bible. Oh, you are wonderfully and fearfully made. What can man do unto me? All these kind of things. Repeat words of affirmations taken from the Bible. Accept getting a helping hand. Or if you need to open up to someone about it, open up to someone. Please do not keep this in, because you're just destroying yourself. Really. Open up about it. Even if it's to 1 or 2 people. And accept help, because you need help, a helping hand to heal. You need God, but you also need people to heal, because this is not something that you can heal on your own. So this is all I have to say today. And if you watched to this point, thank you for watching. I also know that there are people who want to know my business and that's why they watched to this point, but I'm also grateful that you're here. Okay, thank you. Bye.